Okay, I've got 5 o'clock. Please call the Public Safety Committee meeting to order.
Bates,
Here, obviously.
Holden,
Here.
Tarks.
Here.
Any persons desiring to be heard? Consideration of the minutes from previous meeting, which was dated.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the January 23rd meeting.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Okay, new business, police department report.
Good evening, everybody. So I handed out just some notes to look through tonight. I will just make note that I did, when we get to our skate land update, I did talk to Nick from skate land, and he was going to be here this evening, so here. So if that's worth, when we get there. I want to start with just some personnel updates. Maybe a discussion on the date, but on or around May 21st, intend to promote Officer Joe Benson to the rank of captain, and I'll plan to swear him in that evening, or a date to be determined. So we've worked with Ben and worked out the details regarding the schedule and some other things with Joe, and we are on board to move forward with that promotion. That was again discussed on my appointment with the chief, that I wanted to leave that position vacant for a few months. Kind of coincides with some of our other personnel updates, but making sure that we got our new officer field training, and Joe was one of our trainers, so that was a priority for me. I thought that was keeping the shifts, staff, and people on the street was more of a priority than making that promotion immediately, but now we're ready to move forward with that. April 8th, I believe I notified everybody, but Officer Michael Niesenbaum successfully completed his 18-month probationary period with our department. And so that same date as Joe Benson's promotion, we want to acknowledge that accomplishment and welcome him to his permanent status with our department. So plan to have some of his family, friends, and et cetera, make him welcome as he's off the probationary period. Field training update, Officer Troy Heaney is progressing well through field training through this period. He's currently in phase 3 of our field training program. So each phase is typically 4 work weeks or a month, and he's into the 3rd phase of that. He's progressing well. He's handling most, if not all, of the work with some field training officer guidance at this point. And currently, him and FDO NAP are on 3rd shift. This is their 1st week there, and then spend another week there to get some exposure to 3rd shift policing in the village. That's ultimately where Officer Heaney will likely end up. So we want to get him some exposure to 3rd shift during his training period as well. Different types of calls and just a different atmosphere. Some other updates. Officer Kyle Knapp will be reassigned from 2nd shift patrol, where he's currently assigned, to our patrol specialist position. That'll take place on June 4th, and that will effectively replace where Officer Benson's position currently is. So a patrol specialist focuses on investigations, complex investigations, assistant patrol, and some various other tasks, including organizing and conducting some departmental training and other things that we identified with the job description for that position. And then the last note on there, just a shift change. Officer Taylor Longross will be reassigned from 3rd shift patrol to 2nd shift patrol on June 1st, 2024, and that just coincides. He was actually bumped to 3rd shift from 2nd shift with some of the changes, and the patrol specialist position. So now with Officer Heaney being trained up around June 1st, he'll be assigned to 3rd shift, and Officer Longross by seniority will come back to 2nd shift. So we should be staffed up and everybody in place really by the June 4th date, but by the end of May will be where everybody needs to be. Any questions regarding the personnel updates?
The patrol specialist, what are the hours for that? Just curious.
Yeah, so the normal hours for that are 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. So it's still on a 4-2-4-4 rotation, 10-hour shifts. That position does offer and have a lot of flexibility. There's times when they have to come in either earlier to go out to the courthouse, district attorney's office, or other things, or on the flip side, adjust their hours to assist with investigations or as Okay, if nothing else, I want to provide some updates regarding training. So quarterly, all of our members train with other agencies in Waukesha County. So this period in March, during the month of March, we completed 4 hours of vehicle contacts training. That consisted of adopting a new state model for conducting high-risk vehicle traffic stops. So the state has changed the way that police officers in the state are taught to conduct a high-risk vehicle stop. The changes really involve an increase in officer safety, utilizing vehicle positioning more to our advantage, science based on ballistics, use of cover, use of vehicles for various reasons. So it's not mandated that everybody switch to the new state model, but that is what's being taught in the academy moving forward. And after doing some research of our own, we decided that we were going to switch to that model along with most other agencies in the area. So we went through that training, and then in addition, we had 4 hours of firearms training, which focused on a handgun proficiency, low light, and drills and movement in the dark conditions. And then we also discussed and had some training on officer-involved shooting protocols that would simulate and or indicate our policy on an officer-involved death, what the officers can expect if they were being involved in an incident. There's public safety questions that are adopted statewide as to what questions officers need to answer if they're involved in an incident for public safety reasons. So we conducted all of that training to make sure our people are well versed if something happens. And then the nuances, of course, is if they're working by themselves with one other person, if there's no supervisor here, what that would look like. So we got some real positive feedback on that they feel much more comfortable with what that process might look like. So it was worthwhile training with those agencies that are listed there. Additionally, Officer Ratzloff attended the Wisconsin Association of Identification Educational Conference up in Eau Claire a couple weeks ago. 32 hours of training related to identification, evidence collection, updates regarding evidence and property room management. And he is our property room custodian. And he is also on the board of directors for that statewide association. He was reelected to another term of that. So he has represented our department well in that capacity and will continue to do so. And has brought back some good training related to identification and evidence related items. I put it on there. I attended our State Association of SWAT Personnel Conference. That was in Brookfield over 2 days. I had served on the board of directors for the SWAT Association for the last 6 years. And I resigned that position effective at the end of this year. They provided me with a nice board of directors award for recognition of my service to the board. I was heavily involved in the SWAT community before I came here. When I got on the board, I was our SWAT commander in Wauwatosa, and so continued to serve in that capacity and feel it's time to move on from that role, at least in the board, not the organization. But I did just put a note on there that interesting, not many people know this, but our SWAT association is the oldest association in the country. So it was formed and developed and put in place in places like LA and some of the other big names. So a lot of pride with that organization. I also just got back about 15 minutes ago from training out at WCTC over the last 2 days related to public records and open records requests. So there's 2-day training put on by an attorney that deals with employment law. So a little dry, but very important, relevant training related to release of records, specifically when it comes to now our new thing is videos, body camera videos, squad videos, redaction, what we should release, how we release it, how we respond to requests. It's something we deal with every single day. I didn't realize probably the scope of it before stepping into these shoes, but it's something we deal with, and obviously an issue that I want to make sure we're doing We're doing it properly. Linda also attended that training with me. I feel we have a lot that we took away from those 2 days, so very, very useful. And then lastly, the last comment I want to make, Officer Joe Benson attended a 32-hour class on police jiu-jitsu instructor course. Joe has a jiu-jitsu background in his personal life, but he said this was a well worthwhile course, and how it relates to policing is our defense and arrest tactics system that's adopted by the state allows for variations of certain things. One of them is the use of tactics that we believe are safer for our officers and allow us to effectively control subjects in a more effective and potential for injury is much less, learning some of these new tactics. So we've been doing some of this training with our training groups. We sent Joe to become an instructor on this so he can take his expertise and his skill set, translate it to what we do every day on the street. Again, make it safer for us, but also for the people that we come into contact with, if and when and how we have to use different levels of force. Questions related to those? All right, the next bullet point there, speed sign data collection and information. So as of April 5th and 6th, we were able to deploy our 2 new portable speed signs with the assistance of DPW. Locations are on the data sheets that I've provided you, and these are just preliminary reports from when they were put into place through today. 127th in Cameron and 124th in Colfax. And I got a few questions, and I know some people had asked, but those signs are working. They're in what we call stealth mode, so they're not displaying speed numbers and or messages. The goal was for the first week or 2 was to put them up in those locations and collect data without them displaying a speed. Look at what that information reveals to us, and then when we turn the signs on, to see what type of effect that might have on traffic in the area. So conceptually, speed signs not just in collection of data, but traffic as a traffic calming measure. So when people inherently see their speed, if 1, they see they're speeding, if 2, they get a warning, they're inclined to actually slow down. So there's some concept of that, and then secondarily to make people aware in some of those areas. So just you can look through the data. Hopefully we'll have something to compare to. But when you look at just the volume, so in just the last 10 days, almost 22,000 vehicles that were traveling just southbound on 124th Street through our sign there. It does list I broke this up daily. You can break it up by hours of the day. Different intervals, and that's what I plan to do to identify when we might be needed in these areas more than others. But you can see the high speed for the day, the average speed. It shows the number of vehicles in the tolerated range, which is set at 5 miles over the speed limit. So you can see that there's, I guess, quite a few violators, so to speak, especially on 124th Street. 127th, almost 4,500 vehicles in this last 10-day period. The maximum speeds again daily are listed, and then it shows the number of vehicles in the tolerated or the 5 mile over range. Again, what this allows us to do, and we talked about this previously, but to try to deploy our resources effectively and efficiently. So if we have either a complaint or an area where we know there's speed violations, to be able to deploy our people when those violations are likely occurring. So when I break down these numbers even more, so I may see that Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. there's a problem at this location. Well, that's where we're going to deploy our people instead of trying to sit in a location from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. when there's not a problem, so to speak. So any questions related to that specific data and or the concept beyond this? Obviously, the longer that they're out, the more that we have to deploy, there'll be more information for us to discuss. But I'm excited about that, and people are definitely noticing throughout the village, even with the signs just being up and not displaying signs. People were very concerned that we put them up and that they weren't working. So a few of those messages. The next bullet point that's just related to, I guess, the training piece above. Calls for service, just an overview of incidents. 2 things I highlighted that just stood out a little bit on this quarter. One is the 12 frauds that we are dealing with, and I highlight that only to kind of shows the continued trend that we're seeing more and more financial type crimes, fraud type crimes. And part of the reason I pointed out is one, they're increasing in numbers, but they take a lot of our time and resources. So We certainly, we get them for everything from businesses to stolen checks. We had a case that maybe the first time it was charged in Waukesha County when an individual stole lottery tickets from one of the gas stations out of a machine that was open but being worked on. And there's a new state statute that was just put into effect that makes it a felony for theft of lottery tickets. So every ticket that was stolen is a separate felony count. And our guys put together a nice investigation on it, identified the person through video, did some follow-up, made an arrest, got a confession, and got a charge through Waukesha County District Attorney's Office. So they did a nice job on that, but those are some of the things that take a lot of our resources and time, but our people are doing a really good job with those types of investigations and cases. It involved a written subpoena for records and other things like that. And then just to highlight on traffic stops. So we'll always obviously have traffic complaints in certain areas, but our guys probably more so than ever are out there effectively enforcing traffic laws in the village. I believe that they're doing so in an effective manner, meaning they're looking for moving violations, they're looking for speed violations, stop sign violations, so things that relate to safety within the village, not just pull people over because their license they might not be up to date. So I just want to highlight a couple of those things. Any questions? All right. So then just to move on to the Skateland summary. I'll just touch on a few of the calls. So over the last or the first quarter of this year, we responded to 13 calls for service. And I just bulleted those out a little bit. 5 of them were assist EMS type calls, which are not uncommon. And then 14 extra patrols, which would just indicate our guys are just doing some extra patrols, the walkthroughs of a lot, maybe assisting or checking on traffic during some of the busier times. 2 calls of note that I put on there. The titles of them aren't necessarily consistent with what the outcome was, but that's how they're coded or reported. But on January 16th, we had a call. Subject came to our department to report that a 15-year-old family member was sexually assaulted in the Skateland parking lot. This likely occurred sometime in December, however, details were vague. And our investigation revealed that the juvenile female was unsure where it actually occurred, but did end up at Skateland, and that's the connection that they made. So we were unable to identify the suspect. The person was unable to give us any more information, and the person was actually listed as a runaway in Milwaukee at the time. So I only put that on there because it was reported to have occurred at Skateland. We had nothing to indicate that it actually did or was related to it. That's just where they ended up. And then on February 17th, 8:23, security at Skateland actually contacted our department regarding a 13-year-old female who reported to staff being touched inappropriately by a 14-year-old male. The teens knew each other, and the female accused the male of touching her buttocks. The male said he was reaching behind to get his friend's attention and accidentally brushed against the female. Parents were contacted. All juveniles were counseled and turned over to parents in Milwaukee. I believe part of the reason we got that call was the juvenile female contacted her mother and indicated what happened. She was adamant that the police get involved. So that's fine. We did and determined that there was no further action for us to take. In addition, again, those assist EMS or fire calls, extra patrols or business checks by our members. Some follow-up, 1 alarm, no criminal damage, no vehicle break-ins, 2 calls of suspicious behavior, but nothing really of note. And I know, I see Nick's here. We talked briefly about his new security company or personnel that are there, so I don't think we both agree to speak on that. You have to be interested in that piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple minutes, sure.
Just sharing about your security.
Got rid of the old company because there's this tendency where they grow to be too big and you have way too much turnover with the guards that are there. Since it's kind of a niche business, we can find it better to get the same people and them. And also the owner of the company is actually there, so it helps just make things a little bit easier because there's more accountability. So we switched about a month ago now.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Thanks
Sounds
for
like
that.
good reasons. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I thought that was.
Hi, Nick, by the way.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And I thought that was important to note. I have not talked to the security company owner, however, I did find out that he sent Chief Bluntman an email. And so that now got tracked my way, so I intend to reach out to them and make contact so that we have a good relationship with security, but
Good.
Overall, no major incidents related to that. And then the last thing I'll mention, to try to wrap up, and I had it included as a packet for this meeting, was I went through and updated our department use of force policy. So you'll see that, you can read through it. It is the updated version, is now posted on our department website, as is required by state statute 66.0511, which says that we shall post this policy for the public to have access to. There were no major changes to it, but I did add quite a bit of information related to our DAT system, our incident response model, disturbance resolution, all things that we train and are relevant, but I also think it's important for people to understand what some of the training and rules that we follow, so to speak, are.
Good.
If you had a chance to read through that, if there's any questions that now or later time, happy to answer any of those. And the last thing I'll close with is, last week we had a visit from a special education class from Kettle Moraine High School. They came and visited our department, gave them a tour, went over some things related to safety, policing, equipment, etc. And then kind of impromptu, they got to see some of our fire equipment and the firefighters that were here that day. Were very accommodating, and the feedback I got from the teacher. They go on a lot of field trips, and this was probably the best trip that these students have ever had. So I was very pleased about that and proud to have them there. And we can be good members of the community that they're outside of our.
Awesome.
Anything else?
No more questions.
You good?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
And now the fire department report.
Basically, I have the standard quarterly report. Thus far, first 3 months at quarter 147, a little bit behind the mark. My little target usually ends up about 150, average about 50 a month. It's been what it's been normal. We have picked up a couple EMTs. We were running 33, 32. I lost captain and retired in the first quarter. To offset that, I moved up 4 new lieutenants that are just starting. Captain spots I'll leave open until we get them up. Yeah, but other than that, we're hovering right around 30. I would like more, but I will admit, people come in, they call, but right now it's a big grab in the county between all the referendums that went through and that, all the way from the western side of the county, Germantown. I lost 2 to Milwaukee. They're really grabbing at the people and taking anybody that's got their education through. So we'll deal with it. As far as the trucks go, the last thing we had to finish up from 2023 were the ladders testing. They finally made the round because that's through a county program. So all the ladders have been done. Everything's been certified up to this year. SCBA's, breathing apparatus, pumps, all done. We're actually getting ready now to start this year's DOTs. They'll be going now in the next month. The EMS training that went on first quarter, December was splitting and mobilization. January was pediatric, and in February, Dr. Matt, I don't know if you guys have ever met him, Deliri, that's our medical director. And he came in and went over EKG strips and treatment, ran through some cardiac emergencies. And that. He's real good. He carries a radio, lives over in Tulsa. He's a third shift ER director out of Waukesha. He will show up. He's on the radio and that. And then also, if you've ever met Chuck Katie, he owns the building on 126th and Lancaster. That corner building used to be the old dairy back in the day. That's his. And he likes to tinker with his cars and that there. He's another DI doctor. That's part of the county group. And both of them are members of the department. As far as fire training, December we hit on the holidays, so we missed that. January we were working on ventilation and then going over to build a water system here. upgrades and that. And then along with that, in February, we went out to Sprinkler Players Union Hall, it was right out here in the falls. They put on a real nice presentation. Guys got some hands-on work, shut them off, how they work them, how they work. And that, 'cause we do have a fair amount of systems in town. As far as the runs in the first quarter, I mean, EMS was fairly much, it's pretty common in that. The thing that is a little alarming to me is 3 stove fires. One grease fire up on Glendale, 128th and Glendale in the house, one at the square and one at the Regency. The one at the square was due to that power failure on the night of the snowstorm. She left 2 pans of grease on the stove on, power went out, she left.
Uh-huh.
Came back, all of these, both of these lucked out. The manager, it happened to be right across from the manager's apartment. He goes, opens the door without checking the door. All of them was latched and she was walking out, had both, fortunately they're winter fires, so the houses were closed up and they stuffed themselves out. They were just waiting for air.
Wow.
And this whole thing, been, so there's 3 potential fires we should have had that could have really gotten going. And then we also had a incident at the Regency where I was spray painting and trying to glue tiles in his bathroom. Aerosol cans. She got out bad enough that the whole north wing had to be ventilated. Yeah. So that's what the hazmat deal was. Regency. We were there for a good hour or so, ventilated out, and then in rooms that it got into. But yeah. And then along those lines, we were at that Mequon structure fire, the fatal on 76th Street. Normally we would do coverage, but got hooked up to the fire. And then Village of Waukesha also. Both working with that. That's basically the quarter in review, what happened this quarter. Some of the other things that are going on here now, like I mentioned, Dr. Katie and Dr. Leary are both members of the county EMS protocol. So what we've done now is we've updated 2 of the county protocol, which is ALS, Advanced Life Support, and BLS. So we follow same protocols that the whole county follows now. Our old one, this is my policy book. The EMS part of it was maybe a third of it. And that now we're in line with the county. So everything that goes in, we've adopted it. And part of like the cardiac emergency, he would go all based on the county protocols. We were in line, but now we're following that. So they didn't want to have to keep updating us to catch up to the county protocols. So
Sure.
That's adopted.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll call them that. I mentioned the 3 new lieutenants that are in. They started beginning of February. And we were over, Cargill had us over. They had their insurance carrier come in for ammonia leaks and that. They've updated on, I was impressed too, they've updated their information command boards in there. Because we come in usually through the maintenance area over on door 27, which is over on the west side, which is where the maintenance area and the indicator boards are. And they've finally took some advice and put actually a board cabinet in there, phone numbers for everybody off duty, ammonia detectors, everything's in there. So insurance, I don't know if the insurance company did it, but I know it's the same insurance company for every cargo facility. And then they were doing a 2-day drill for their people, but they had us over on Wednesday morning. We went through it all. Within that. So I was happy with what we saw.
Yeah.
If you haven't noticed, we are now station 91 in the county. 91 and down at the park is 92. The county renumbered everybody and we lost our 23, and that's how it is set up. Every station in the county is an individual number, and the apparatus in that station coordinates with that number. So now our rigs aren't, it's engine 91, I'm chief 91, it all corresponds to that number. I don't know if it's a county exact, most of it was Western Lakes ran out of numbers because they were grabbing so much territory, and they couldn't figure out how to make it work. I voted against it at the beginning. I didn't think we needed to do it, and Grove was against it. There was four departments that voted against it. The bigger ones all wanted it. For instance, the city of Brookfield wanted our number. They wanted the 23 to go. There are 3 stations. And I would have switched. I would still like the 4-digit, but we had that fire Sunday night. It was a little confusing, and that wasn't even that much put out. It'll take some time to work the bugs out of it. And along that lines is the Mavis, which is the boxcar system for fires and that, was all updated as of the first with the new numbers. Everything has gone into effect now. And it's going to take a couple incidents to work the bugs out of it. That's all through WCC Waukesha. It's all in the CAD system. We'll see. I was kind of hoping we'd have a storm tonight to see how it works. But we'll see where it goes. Last thing, I attended DNR. I got my DNR certification. Department of Natural Resources, structural firefighting. They have a whole series. I put the department's gone through the man part. Now I've gone through the command structure on what they expect out of the fire department if they have an issue where the DNR would run it. You would say it wouldn't happen here, but that last one in the Falls was a perfect example where you're in there to evaluate the structures, whether they're savable, if you're going to commit your resource, or else come in at the end and overhaul it. And it's all part of the DNR's command structure. So we're up to date on that. And the last thing I have is we're in the midst next Monday. I have the state coming in. They're working audited on our dues. I'll take care of that. It's a virtual audit. I've gotten all the records that I needed to them so far. We'll see where it goes. I've had it before. He wants to do 2023. So that's where we're at right now.
Okay. Thanks.
I got a question, but it might be a question for the administrator. So if it is, you can defer till later. Was there any development with the meetings with the other municipalities on merging?
No, so I was on standby chief at the Falls. As part of what happens when a fire now is our apparatus went to the fire, and then the chief officer gets sent to the Falls, and you're basically the coverage chief. Sitting over if it escalates to that level. Because what happened now is the Falls has now got their safer grant and their manpower is going up. You notice we don't go there for everything anymore. We will bump down a level. But now I get sent over there, so I was a coverage chief there Sunday night, and there were people from Elm Grove, a bunch of different municipalities. And they were saying, I talked to Dave, which was the ex-chief, he just retired in that role. And then they had a village board president, and trustees must have changed over. Because as of last year, the city of Brookfield was looking at taking over Elm Grove's EMS. And now they had all of that tabled, and he's back to talking about that.
The other thing, okay.
You're trying to make the eastern side of the county going as one type of department.
Sure, yeah.
Scuttlebutt on the street is nobody wants to do up their job.
Well, that's always the case, yeah. I was just curious if, so it's nothing really concrete is developed.
The chief officers that would lose you have to retire out or whatever. And you're gonna give up and there's only gonna be one chief of the department like that. So that's what happened in Western Lakes, Stone Bank, Wakachi, Elsman, all those chiefs
Went away,
retired
yeah.
out. There's only one chief, so and he has a setup of battalion chiefs and his training officer and that, but there's only one set of group instead of 5 departments all have to repeat it. It sounds like a good deal.
Well, there's sides to the coin, right? I was just curious. So there's no other concrete development, or you're aware of anything, or?
Nobody's talked anything about it. I don't know if you've heard anything.
Well, I just actually got contacted today from Elm Grove regarding what kind of the status of our fire department was. And I said, I was getting an update today about our fire department. But they are having various issues with staffing with their EMS, where they're basically, if they don't get new bodies in there in the next 5 or so years, they're not going to have an EMS department because everybody's going to age out. So they are reaching out to a bunch of different municipalities to see the statuses of their EMS and fire departments and kind of what we were planning on doing. I said that I would give them an update on the status of our fire department when I get back next week, but that's kind of all that has really transpired.
Okay, and they were the drivers of the whole thing anyways, weren't they? From what I recall, what Kayla is,
One of them, yeah.
To do this.
right? Isn't that what
I don't know
Kayla
if
had
they
said?
were looking to fund this stuff.
One of them, yeah.
You know, Kayla brought me in one day and just said that they were talking about it, and that was the last I heard.
Yeah, and I think that they have to kind of start over to some respect because they have a new administrator as well who took over after I took over in July. So he has to kind of get caught up on everything. So they're in very preliminary stages of just asking questions.
That answers my question, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know City of Brookfield got the safer grant. They got theirs are actually almost done. They got 1 year left on it. And then they gotta come up with the money for those people. that-
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Maumee Falls got theirs. They're just, and actually they're using our training facilities now in Maine to get them to train their next group up.
The ones down by the Parker? Yeah, okay.
Because their station on Lily Road is being remodeled and won't be done till June. They want to get these guys, and they've used it before, and I don't have a problem.
Sure.
Use it. They have a house that we maybe get the train on too, up by the hospital too. They're training days and we'll try and use it at night. a couple
To burn it
times.
down?
Yeah, they will at the end, and then
Okay.
June. I just, something different than just crawling in a container.
Sure, oh yeah.
Basically, why not?
Let me know when that is.
I'll get the dates.
Okay.
They've got preliminary dates.
Yeah.
Where it's all
Play date?
dependent.
Perfect.
I mean, there's not, it burns out. Burns out.
What are they using the station on Silver Spring for now? Maintenance or what?
What they did is they committed there to 5 stations
Mhm.
when they did that. They decided to go to completely full-time personnel. The station out by where the Nightingale used to be there
Mm-hmm.
got shut down and that belongs to the police department. That's all, that's locked up and everything. Right now, the fire inspectors are in there until the remodel is done at Station 3. When the remodel is done, there will be quarters for 10 firefighters there, plus all the admin offices will be there, chief's office and down, and fire inspectors will work out of the.
On Silver Spring?
Silver Spring's gonna get closed.
It is gonna get
They will
closed.
They're in the crews that would be at
Lily,
Remodeling,
Lily
okay.
Road will move back there once the remodel's done.
okay.
Right now, it's just full of heating equipment and everything, and a couple of reserve pieces are. The only people that are working out of there right now are, admin people. Fire inspectors will go back there. Station 4 gets turned up. They've even taken the name off of Station 4. Right?
Hmm.
Then they're gonna go down to 3 stations, the one out by me there on Silver Spring and 1 Mile. And then the station that they built to combine with Lannon on Main Street and Lily Road. They're gonna run just 3 stations.
Really?
So when we call them in, they're coming in from Lily Road.
If they're there, if they're there, assuming they're there. Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Different than anybody.
Yeah.
My personal preference was to use Tulsa if I needed help. They're the closest since Brookfield moved out to Calhoun and that, but now they pulled a med rig out of the station over here too now. There's just an engine in there. We're on an island by ourselves right now. Yeah, I'll take care of myself.
Sometimes that's all you can do.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions?
Nope.
Thank you, chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I'll make a motion to adjourn if we're up to that.
I'll second.
And we are adjourned at 5:38.